Stop! I'm David Tian, Ph.D. and in this video I answer the question, do you need therapy? Welcome to Man Up, episode 188.
Masculinity for the intelligent man. I'm David Tian, Ph.D., and this is Man Up!
Hey, I'm David Tian, Ph.D., and for the past 10 years I've been helping hundreds of thousands of people in over 87 countries attain success, happiness, and fulfillment in life and love. And welcome to Man Up, episode 188. We're here in Bali, a beautiful resort. See behind me the beach and so on. I get a question here from Joshua. Feeling depressed today, and to add to it, just got into a huge fight with the wifey, really over me not being able to express myself clearly. I've got my issues. My question, has anyone ever gone to a therapist before? How did it help? Years ago, I mistakenly went to a psychiatrist thinking it was the same as a therapist, and they tried to throw me in the loony bin because of some depression, so I ran out of there. And I haven't pursued professional help since. Seriously contemplating searching again. All right, cool. This is a quickie question. Joshua, this is really easy. And for all the guys out there, I've been saying this for a very long time, but I want to make this even clearer. Yes, everybody should have a therapist if you can afford it. It's the most amazing luxury. You know, about 30 or 40 years from now, it will be seen as one of those things like right now, if you have the money, why wouldn't you have a personal trainer at the gym? Instead of you having to run through your own, I mean, if you could have Mr. Olympia be your trainer, depending on what your goal is, you know, weightlifting or whatever, be like the champion, gold medalist in whatever goal you want, and he's your personal coach at the gym, spotting you, telling you what reps, how many reps, I mean, that's amazing. You would, why wouldn't you do it? You would, like if you had the money. And people are just stupid about the mind. They're just naive about the mind. And that's because of the old economy. Well, the new economy is going to force it on them, and it's going to be a much more rapid development. So maybe 20 years from now, it will be quite commonplace for everyone to want to get a therapist. Just like now, everyone, if they could afford it, if they want to get fast results in whatever area of their life, would find a one-on-one coach. Same with the mind, getting a one-on-one coach for your mind. Soon, I think the school system should be abolished, and you would have, if you had the money and infinite money, you just hire all the top people one-on-one to teach you and your children one-on-one, if you could, like, or a small group. So why wouldn't you for your mind? And it's an amazing luxury to have somebody who's spent their entire life, well, their entire career, I mean, focused on how to help people with mental health, focus just on you for that hour. You can ask whatever questions you want. You can emote as all you want, and that person's there for you, and you can monopolize that time for yourself. That's not something you can do with a friend. Don't ever turn a friend into a therapist. That's just a bad idea. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't need therapy. I got friends. Or I got my sister or some shit. That's pathetic. That's like saying, oh, I don't need a trainer. I got my fat brother. You know what I mean? Like, this person is not trained, is not a mental health professional, unless your sister happens to be a therapist, right? But even then, I think she might be she'd be too close and not objective enough. So if you can afford, by all means, do it. Otherwise, I'd find group coaching, like a group therapy has been proven to work in addiction therapies and things like that. So I would recommend that you do that. I think everyone should get, if you could. I mean, I had in my prime as an academic, I had 7 one-on-one tutors in the week, and I just saw them, for an hour or 2 or 3 hours at various times in the week. That was an awesome dream, like just having all of those minds at my disposal. So I constantly have seek out therapy and coaching and all kinds of ways of improving myself. And therapy is just another awesome way to do it. And I think, in fact, it's one of the most effective ways. But you have to commit to it, right? So the next question is going to be, well, actually, let me just address something he's got there. A psychiatrist or a psychologist? Psychiatrists are going to hate me right now, but a lot of the rap I've heard about, like the bad rap that psychiatrists get, is deserved. Like I have friends who are psychiatrists, so but they're very specialized and they know what they can do. And the thing is, a psychiatrist goes through medical school, and that's a lot of time, and that's a lot of brain space. And then they tack onto that some psychotherapy or understanding of psychology. So a lot of what they're doing, they're trained to basically find out what ailment you have in the textbook and then medicate you for that. And that's why Joshua here had a bad experience, because if he goes in saying I'm depressed, they're going to medicate you. That's going to be one of the first things they do. And they're just trying to manage symptoms instead of getting to the root. Psychiatrists don't like thinking about childhood issues because that actually will undermine the work that they need to do, which is to prescribe shit, So I haven't had good experience personally with seeing psychiatrists, and my psychiatrist friends will bug me for that. But dudes, man, you know the truth. So you have, psychiatry is effective in specific contexts. But in terms of just general, I want to be better. I want to have more power, more energy. I want to be more vulnerable and have power over that and have fewer fears and anxieties. then get a therapist if you can afford it. If you can't do it every week, you might want to do it once every 2 weeks or once a month. I think once a month is minimum, especially if you're starting out. You should probably commit to once a week for like 2 months, and then you can start to assess how much more time you want to put into it, maybe once a month instead. But it's also so I address the psychiatrist versus psychologist issue, and then the issue about how do you get the most out of it? It's a long-term solution. It's not a quick fix. Therapy won't quickly fix you on anything, really. You've got to commit to it, and it's got to be, depending on if you come to it with a specific problem, it could be handled in 2 months or a month. But ideally, you would have it for 6 months, or you could commit to it for a year, or 2 years, or 3 years, or ideally for life. If money is the only issue, why wouldn't you, if you could get rid of the money issue by making more money, then why wouldn't you just keep it going for life? But obviously, it's harder to get somebody to commit for life for something. So having a 2-month minimum period of trying it out is a good way to go. But I would commit to it for 6 months to see some real results. It's sort of like somebody who wants to go to a workout. It's the same thing. You're working it out, your heart, your mind. But if somebody comes to you, I want to get in shape, but I only want to do it for 2 months, you'd be like, don't even bother, right? Or if they're like, I want to get in shape, but I only want to do it for 1 month and then not do it again. And I'm just like, don't even bother. It's a waste of time. You're just going to suffer for a month, maybe get some kind of results, but if you don't keep it up, if it's not part of your lifestyle, you're just going to go back to your baseline. So it's the same with the mind, it's the same with the heart, it's the same with your emotions. You've got to make it part of your lifestyle and part of the long-term, your long-term change and long-term personality. So if you don't do that, then you might as well not start. But I think everyone should have it. A lot of the successful people in the world that I know, the richest people I know, have coaches who sort of act as therapists or have full-on therapy, and some of them have multiple therapists. You can just Google, and the last thing I'm going to leave you with is something to look for in your psychologist. Look for somebody whose background you share. So one of the issues I discovered is I had some good psychologists that I worked with when I was at the University of Michigan, and they were great, actually. So I had 2 different psychologists there. And then when I went to Asia, I ran into a lot of problems finding a good psychologist because we had very different value systems, as you'll see in some of the episodes where I answered guys from Singapore, their questions. So some of the value systems were incredibly judgmental about sexuality. Like, oh, you're dating a girl who's much younger than you? Oh, I don't know about this. And I'm like, what's wrong with that? I don't understand. What is wrong with dating a girl who's younger than you? Oh, it's just wrong, right? And I'm like, this is not therapy, So it became toxic, in fact. So I've met several therapists in Singapore who were not, not effective for cool people, for modern people. So it really depends on if you mix with them well in terms of your values and your background. Get somebody who understands your background. So for me, that's Canadian. It's somebody who was raised in Canada, but also of Chinese origin, so somebody who's open to Asian things, but also of a very sexualized nature. I'm very open and comfortable with my sexuality. I need somebody like that too, and who's not under the weight of a lot of sexual shame, like many of these Asian cultures are. So I basically just Google, you can basically Google that, and you can start to find your way out from there. Or, like I said, group therapy is really great. I personally have not actually personally attended any group therapy, but I know just the research shows that it's effective as well. So that's an easier way if you don't want to spend the money or you want to dip your toes in the water and try it out. But yeah, man, everybody should have. It's one of the big problems with the macho masculinity is that they're afraid to admit that they have problems, and they're too arrogant and stupid, naive, to admit that to realize that they need some training for the mind and from the heart. It's all in the brain, by the way, right? So to train the brain in terms of emotions. So the best way, one of the best long-term solutions is therapy. And I would also throw in there meditation. Those are 2 easy ways to go. If you got therapy and meditation, you're going a long way towards success. So there you go. Everyone should get therapy. I know it's gotten a bad rap, that word, especially for dudes who want to be macho and they have shame around admitting they have problems. They're stupid. Just kidding. I totally get it, man. So there you go. Look it up. Find a good therapist. Try it out. Usually the first session will be free. And if you feel like the person is matching you in terms of your background and your values, go for it. But commit to at least 2 months, if not 6 months, thinking you're going to see payoff 6 months later. And what are they supposed to be doing? They're leading you through emotional change. And that's going to be hard emotionally for dudes who aren't used to feeling. It's deep, man. It is deep, the psychology. And most guys know maybe 5% of what they ought to know. And I'm chomping at the bit to do longer videos where I reveal a lot more of the psychology. I do that for the guys in the paid programs, but I'm so busy right now. with our paid coaching programs that I haven't had the time to sit down and do it for the free stuff. But it's coming up. It's coming up maybe in a few months, a couple months. But for now, I'm going to enjoy this. This is a beautiful view here. We're going to go down to the beach there. All right, man. So it's David Tian. Join the private Facebook group. You can get a lot of benefit from that group. Answer your questions, ask your questions. It's all in there. Answer your questions. Answer other people's questions. And I'll see you inside the private Facebook group. Until then, man up.